what I have condensed is that there are three key stages of ego development. One is ego formation, where someone is young, usually people who are young and try to get more achievement, discover their identity in the world. And then there's the second stage of ego fixation, ego obsession or protection, where they are like, I am the center of the world. They're sitting in very black and white. That I am right and you're wrong, that kind of way. They know whoever they only usually see only thing from their own lenses and perspective. I'm sure you have seen people like that. And the last stage is the ego release stage, where the people actually encompass and have developed a more nuanced and diverse perspective about themselves and other people, so that they don't see things so black and white. They can start to see their more objectively their strengths and weaknesses. And it's called ego release, where they are not bound by their own ego and become more balanced. So the thing is that the majority of people, or a lot of people, are stuck in the second stage. And so basically in the second stage of ego fixation, people are just like a big crying baby. Like the ego is like a big crying baby, where um, they may appear very in control, very calm on the outside, but they are very harsh on themselves. So their inner child there is not love enough. They don't receive enough love for themselves. They can appear very harsh on other people, but also can be very harsh on themselves, even in secret. So the key point is that maturity and ego development come from self-love and acceptance. This is similar to the idea of the hero's journey, if you probably have heard of, so that people can move from stage 2 to stage 3 of the ego development. So usually it starts like this, where a person is start to question their habits, their concept, the egos, their sense of self. They are disillusioned with who they are and the story, the lie they have told themselves. And usually that is accompanied by a long period of deeper introspection and even overcompensation. Overcompensation means they swing all the way to the other side because they really hate themselves so much. If someone used to be very caring and feeling driven, they might dislike that part of themselves and they totally become very cold and detached and logical. Or vice versa, someone who used to be very logical, they don't like that and they become overly caring and needy. And then, if they are lucky with enough introspection, they finally accept that original part of themselves and love themselves again. And once they love themselves again, they can love other people. And that is where the idea of maturity and balance come from. Now, the common wisdom is that maturity, the older a person is, the more mature they are. But it's not always the case. There are a lot of people who are much older, but they're not technically mature from my experience. And even if we talk about like calmness, agreeableness, it can be just like the calmness before the storm. There are some people, not everyone are not openly aggressive or disagreeable. There are people who are more maybe passive aggressive. They can be very pleasant, very nice at the beginning, but you don't see that they are holding a lot of grudge against you. I'm sure you have met those people. The Enneagram will teach you, maybe out of this, I will cover like 3 Enneagram type here for illustration purposes. So for example, people who belong to the type 3, the achiever, when you first meet them, they can appear very efficient and charismatic and very externally successful. In the traditional sense, nice car, nice house, nice watches, branded clothing. But beneath that is because they have a deep fear of being worthless. And they are very fixated on an image of being successful and socially validated. So if you know them and get to know them better, you might realize that your partner, your husband might be someone who can be a bit deceiving. They are not as nice as they appear. They might have a lot of flaws or bad habits that they don't show at the beginning. And they can be workaholic, very competitive and emotionally not available. Similarly, type 5, the investigator, you might meet them as some people who are very independent, very smart, very strong problem solver, and probably successful as well. But what result in this characteristic and strength might actually be the insecurity of they don't want to be helpless, they don't want to feel incompetent. So they want to focus a lot on hoarding time, resources, and knowledge. They don't want to be feel now vulnerable. And so if you are in a relationship, you might realize that your partner is emotionally withdrawn, or even arrogant or condescending or not available. And lastly, like type 2, the helper, this one might be a bit different from the other two types. They appear as very warm and generous and caring. They have a deep desire to love and take care of other people's needs. They seem perfect. But be careful, because what result in such behaviors might stem from insecurities, that they, deep down they don't want to feel abandoned and unwanted or unworthy. They fixate on getting love by being helpful. So if you're in a relationship with such a partner, you might realize that they are very insecure and even clingy.